good morning, and welcome. I am your host, Roslyn Long, and welcome to Dear Life After. I know you could be doing so many other things than being here with us, but we're glad you're here. We're glad you're here. And listen, you still have time to do what? You know what we do. We tag a friend, we tweet a friend, we text a friend, and tell them to come on over and join us at Dear Life After. Because, hey, somebody needs to hear this on today. So we don't want anybody to be missing out on anything whatsoever. So go ahead and have them to join us, join us. Listen, on today, we have a very special guest on today, but we always have special guests. But she's special. And listen, I'm not going to tell you her story because she's going to tell you everything there is that you need to know on today. So we're just going to have a conversation. And so we're just going to ask you to join in. And again, go ahead and tag, tweet, text. Don't leave anybody out because somebody needs to hear Twyla on today because she has a story for you. So let's see if you have been letting him pick up the pieces. So no time to waste. We're going to go ahead and have a chat with Twyla Marks. Good morning.
Good morning, Rosalind. How are you?
I am wonderful on this beautiful Saturday morning.
It is beautiful.
Thank you so much for accepting the invite to come on with us and kind of share your story on today. So
You're
glad
welcome.
to have
Thank you
you.
for having me.
Thank you so much. So, are you originally from Dallas?
So, Rosalind, I'm not. I'm actually from a town called Wichita Falls, Texas.
Oh,
It's about,
great.
okay. You've heard of it. Most
Yes.
people haven't. But yeah, it's about a couple hours north, west of Dallas. But I've been in Dallas 26 years, so it's home now.
Oh yeah. This is home. This is
It's
home.
home.
This is home. This is home. This is home. Yes. So you have grown children. I understand you have a daughter that just turned 30.
Yes. Actually, her actual 30th birthday is tomorrow, Easter Sunday. And yes, and then my son, he will be 25 in May. So I don't have any babies.
Oh
Yeah.
no, no babies,
No way.
no babies at all. Absolutely not. That's amazing. That's awesome. So you don't look like you should have someone 30 years old, but that's okay. Hey, we
Oh, thank
deserve
you.
ourselves well, right? Yes. So kind of tell me, I know that you were previously married.
Yes, previously married, divorced now, 17 years. But yes.
Okay, that's quite some time there. Uh, to be, as they say, in these single pools out here, because it is something different going on out there now.
Yeah, it's difficult out in these dating streets. I would have to concur with you, Robert.
I'm glad I'm not out there in them streets, because look at her. I heard some stories. It's like,
Is
oh my
it?
goodness. It's like, what? Are you
Mm-mm.
serious? Yeah.
Exactly.
That's a whole nother story in itself, right?
It is, and a whole nother show.
Yeah, because you have that group. What is it? Are we dating the same guy in the DFW area?
Oh wow. Yeah, like there's multi daters out here. It's crazy.
It's
Like
crazy. It is
do
absolutely
what you
crazy.
do. Uh,
It's
it
crazy.
works for you. It works for you. That's all I
It's crazy.
say.
But I know when we kind of chat, we talked about that your divorce actually wasn't. I mean, which and some people have good divorces, I guess, but it just wasn't the best for you in regards to kind of some challenges that you were having with the divorce. So just kind of tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. Wow. I like diving right on into the divorce journey or recovery journey because I have a passion for helping people do that. But yeah, the divorce itself, Rosalind, was not very tumultuous, meaning in 90, I initiated the process and the proceedings.
Okay.
In 90 days, we're divorced. it was the post divorce for me that
Okay.
about rocked my world. 3 years of it. We're not talking a few days. Three
Oh,
long years.
that's a
Of
long time.
It's a long time, very long time of post divorce trauma. And it was a journey. It was a roller coaster ride. In my book, I compare my life to a roller coaster. There were negative G's, there were twists and turns, there were uphill journeys, uphill battles. It was rough. And I don't know how much you want me to share.
No, we want to be very, we like to, on here, we be very candid with our
Okay.
audience because I think it's very important because somebody needs to understand that I'm not the only one that's dealt with this, so to speak. And so, in order for them to know that, we just have to be 100 with them in
I,
regards to that.
I agree.
Yeah. So, like, it's give me some specifics in
Okay.
regards to something that happened that made it, traumatic for you.
Absolutely. There's a lot to choose from, but this particular story and incident, what happened, I really thought that I was going to lose my mind. So my son, my ex-husband and I, when we got divorced, my son, I was the custodial parent, meaning my son stayed with me primarily, and obviously he would go back and forth with his dad every other weekend, the Texas visitation schedule, right? So
Right?
um, there were one instance in particular, my ex-husband, he went to court. Now, mind you, he would call the police several times, and after he felt as if he had enough documentation in his mind, he would go back to court and try to convince the judge that I'm interfering with his child visitation. Meaning, I would text him, say, "Hey, I'm in North Dallas. I'm running late. I'm traffic. Traffic on a Friday is horrible." Back then, it's not as bad. It wasn't as bad back then as it is now. It's horrible right now, but
Oh,
it
yes.
would feel bad, right? But anyway, long story short, Roslyn, this time he took me back to court, and this judge, I don't know, I always say, I don't know if she just ate a bad bowl of Wheaties or what that morning, but she ruled on something so left field, meaning she told me that I had to have my son at this courthouse at a specific time because he was now going to go live with, yeah, his father. I just I was speechless. I was numb. So my ex-husband tried to paint the picture that I was some unfit parent, unfit mother, and those that really know me knows that's the farthest thing from the truth, right? And so,
Right.
Rosalind, my life came to a screeching halt for about 3 weeks. My son was gone. I didn't know what to do. I hardly ate. I couldn't really sleep. I thought, what did I do? My son is not here. I saw him one time in the 3 weeks that this occurred. Like he had to go to a new school because at the time his dad didn't live in the school district that my kids attended. So it was a lot going on. And when I tell you, I speak about trauma now as part of my brand and helping people
Right.
heal and move forward after trauma. That experience was so traumatic for me. Again, I thought I was going to lose my mind. I thought it was going to take me out of here. And I had to learn how to pick up the pieces.
Well, okay. So, in those 3 weeks, you were not even entitled to being able to visit your son?
I saw him one time, meaning it just flipped. So at the time, the ex-husband became the custodial parent and I became the non-custodial parent. So the one time I saw him was the weekend that I was scheduled, the visitation for myself to see him. Yes. And
And
I
so,
remember Roslyn going into the school, registering him, and this broke my heart to pieces. I was there at the new school. My son was like, "Mom, what's going on?" He's in 6th grade at this time.
okay.
And I said, "Well, son, you have to go. You have to go to this school now, but trust me, mommy's going to get you back. I promise you, I'm going to do everything in my power to get you back." But you don't want to live with your dad. He had a great relationship with his dad, but that's not where he wanted to be. So it hurt him to the core. He's crying. The teacher the counselor from the office, I remember, walked him down that long hallway He's doing this, turning his head, looking back towards me. And Rosalind, there was nothing I could do but stand there, and tears just streamed down my
So
face.
you had to register him in the new school and not his dad?
Well, I met them there because I wasn't going to
Okay.
do that, about, not go and be there with him, because I know that was traumatic for my son as well.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that's
Yes,
probably,
new
as Zincha
school.
says, that's the worst thing you can do to a parent is to have your child taken from a
Oh,
mother, should I say, per se. Uh,
especially when they're, you didn't do anything wrong. Like, oh my gosh, it was, or oh my goodness,
I
the
mean,
worst.
did you have an attorney doing your divorce process?
I did, and after this situation, I got a new attorney, and thank God, and fortunately, in those 3 weeks, I got Kyle back. I don't know the paperwork, the legal paperwork that she filed, but she got my son back. And after that, the relationship between my ex-husband obviously was already rocky, but it became even more rocky until one day, look at God, my phone rang, and it was him. And he said, out of his own mouth, he said, Twyla, I'm tired of fighting you. Would you forgive me? What?
Whoa, wow.
And I think, I'm grateful to God that happened. But here's the thing: he had moved on, he had remarried by this time, and he knew that situation with him taking Kyle from me for those 3 weeks about took me out. So that was like a dagger in my back. And so in his
Right.
mind, he probably thought, oh, I got her. I feel better now because, listen, I divorced him and initiated the process. So he's like, oh, I'm done fighting. I got her. So I can move forward.
Oh
Isn't
my
that
goodness.
stupid?
Now, how long was it into the process when he made the phone call?
After, I'd probably say about a month after I got Kyle back, the phone call, I received the phone call from him. Mm-hmm.
Wow. I
Yeah.
mean, and yeah, definitely God for sure. Um, because, and a lot of times, we talk about, women and how, we have to heal and our trauma and things like this. But do you also think that there were some things that he needed to heal from that were going on that were underlying issues in regards to, him being, I'll say, bitter, so to speak?
Absolutely. And that's what it was. The bitter feelings. We went through that whole 3 year process. And yes, he was very bitter. And the things, there were way more. We'd be here all day for me to talk about all the other things, but there was way more. But I just picked that particular one because that one took me out of here. And so I feel like he was just, yeah, like I said earlier, he had said, "I got her. The dagger is done." In his mind, his emotions were healed because he had hurt me so much just in that one incident, and he
Oh,
knew that.
absolutely.
And he knew that.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
But okay, so what kind of led you to file for divorce? Like, was there a specific incident?
Well, not necessarily a specific incident. I'll tell you this, Roslyn, at about, well, let me back up. My ex husband and I got married 10 months to the date from the time we first laid eyes on each other.
Okay.
So we really didn't know each other. So we started learning each other on the fly during our marriage. And the way we met through a family member of mine at the time. And I was pregnant, 3 months pregnant, standing at the altar. We had a blended family. So we had all these things, the dynamics of going into a new marriage, not really knowing each other, really.
Okay.
And here we are, we're married with a already made blended family and one on the way. And so 5 years into the marriage, I thought I made the wrong decision. But what do I do? What do I do?
Not I made the wrong
I
decision.
made the wrong decision.
Okay. Okay. It
And
happens, right?
yes, but I thought, let's get counseling. Let's try to work things out. We argued a lot about some very minute issues. And I think there was some personality, not I think, I know there were some personality trait differences there between
Okay.
he and I, and from raising children to just the normal things that you should be on one accord with your spouse. And we weren't. And it caused a lot of friction. So, year 5, I said, go to counseling, individual counseling, couples counseling. And it got a little better, Roslyn. It really did after some time. However, it's still in my mind, it wasn't right. And so 5 more years, 5 more long years,
You said 5 more long years.
long
But
years
do you think
passed.
that a part of that is because so often, and I know we hear people talk about this all the time, and sometimes we just kind of jump over it, so to speak, ignore it, but that we actually it happens more often because we don't let God lead us into who that mate is, and that mate is our choice and not God's choice for us. So then we end up in something that wasn't God ordained, so to speak. So here we are. We got a mess because this is not who I have for you. You chose him or her. So yeah, what? How do you think that's going to work out?
Oh my gosh. Yes, I'm gonna go ahead and drop my pen. I'm not gonna drop my mic because I need my mic, but that was a mic drop right there. Yes, did not allow God to pick the man for me. And that's what happened. And so 5 years passed. I initiated the divorce. I said I can't do this. Year 5, my grandmother said, Twyla, you still love him. Try to work it out. And I did. I still love the man. You don't just fall out of love with someone overnight. And so
Absolutely.
right. And so I said, I can't, this is killing me. I'm not happy. We arguing leaving church. We arguing going to church. We arguing about what to eat, what the kids gonna wear, what we gonna do. Oh, like I said, just minute things. And
Oh yeah.
so the kids are growing up because all 3 of our kids, he had a son from a previous relationship. I had the daughter from a previous relationship and then the son together. But they are growing up in a toxic environment. What kind of role model, what kind of example is that for kids? It was,
Listen, we're gonna put a pin right there
come on
because
now.
listen, so many people um, stay in relationships, stay in marriages because oh, I want to be there. I want my kids to grow up with their mother and their father, but not understanding that it is so much worse if they're in a toxic environment than it would be if you are a part, because you want them to have healthy relationships. And so sometimes in order to show them what that looks like, that means that mama is over here and daddy is over here, so that you can properly co-parent, because together you're toxic.
Woo! Yes, indeed. Come on now. Yes.
And
Yes.
because we didn't grow up, and that's what I think, that's what happens, is that because we didn't grow up with our mom and dad in the same household, so then when we become of age and we have a relationship and now we have a husband or wife and
Mhm.
kids, so we say, well, you know what, we want them to have what we did.
Right.
Well, but what we did have was a loving parent who loved us and showed us what love was without that other parent in the house. So it doesn't necessarily mean, or if your other parent was absent, that still was no fault of the parent, that of the custodial parent. So
Right.
you still had healthy relationship just because the other parent was absent. So just because you're together in the house doesn't mean it's going to be a healthy relationship.
You so right. And mine, oh no, it was not. I mean, when you sleep in, one is upstairs and one is downstairs, there's a real problem. There's a
Oh,
real problem. And when you circle in your neighborhood 15 times before you hit that garage door opener to go in there, yeah, yeah, that was
oh
me.
wow.
That was me. Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And so
whew,
that's why we have to ask ourselves, will we let him pick up the pieces? Because when we're enduring stuff like that, your home should be where it's peace.
Peaceful, right?
It should be
Exactly.
peaceful at home. So if you, as you say, if you got to circle around the neighborhood all these times because you are dreading going into your home,
Right.
then yeah, it's time to say, look here, I'm gonna
Right.
need you to pick up the pieces.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Pick up the pieces, pick up the suitcase, your clothes, and go on.
She said your suitcase and go on. Oh, oh my God. So there was a question that says, were there doubts or red flags before you married him?
Absolutely, there were. And I will tell you, several of my family members did not care for him. I'm just going to keep it very candid. And one in particular, my grandmother, whom I love dearly, God rest her soul, she passed away in 2022, but she and I were like this. And she said, I don't know about him, Twyla. You know, old people, they just kept it real all the time, right? And
Ooh, yes,
so, well, she didn't
absolutely.
say it as nicely as that. Yeah, she said some other choice words. But anyway, I said, no, I think he's okay. We'll be okay. And then, not only that, outside of her not liking him, his sister and I had a big blow up like weeks before the wedding, and we almost called off the wedding. Sure did. I mean, talking about a huge blow up. He and his sister, they were close. It was just he and her, um, and so the situation, I'll give it real briefly, Roslyn, was that I was the only mother figure that my ex-husband's son knew. His son didn't even know his biological mother, and when I came in the picture,
Mm,
that caused some jealousy, if you will, between the sister and the son, because the son took an almost immediate liking to me, attached to me, and she didn't really like that. She wanted him, her nephew, to herself. Well,
wow.
yeah, and so I mentioned that to my soon-to-be husband, fiance at the time, and he lost it. Like, did not defend me whatsoever. It was just a mess. And so I should have called off the wedding, but I didn't. Went on. It was very, very, what's the word? There was a lot of friction, the tension in the room. At the wedding,
Right.
you could have cut it with a knife.
Oh wow.
And it was, yeah, the family, because people knew about this huge blow up.
Mm.
Even at the reception, they were really, it was a lot of things going on. So, yes, to answer that, yes, the viewer's question, there was a lot of red flags and doubts before I married him.
You know what? And so often, again, because it's a choice that we've made, and we think that, oh my God, um, I love him. I'm
Yeah.
gonna, what I'm saying, I'm gonna be the one that, he's gonna be different, you know. I,
Mhm.
I know I can get him to change, things that we have no control over. The only thing that we have control over is knowing in our hearts that that is not who God has chosen for us, but because we're not operating properly and listening to his voice because it's something that we want. And we're all guilty of it. So listen, I'm speaking to
Oh,
myself.
yeah.
Okay? So it's not, but I
Oh,
think that people need to, that they need to understand that this happens so often
yes.
because we don't pay attention. We ignore the flags. I mean, the
Yes.
flags, they be waving at us like,
Oh my
hey,
gosh.
like,
Knocking
girl,
you on the head almost.
this is not it. He ain't the one.
You got
But
the one.
we go on because we think this
Uh-huh.
is who has our heart fluttering, pitter patting,
Mm.
and he probably made some other things pitter patter. So
Okay.
we have just lost it.
Lost it. Yeah, yes. And one thing about it, you cannot change somebody, folks. Y'all listen. No, you can't change who a person is. They are who they are. And the only person that can change them is God. So going into a relationship or a marriage, like you mentioned, Rosalind, oh, I'm gonna be the one to change him. No, he gonna be who he gonna be, right? And so if he's not the one, just say keep it moving and say bye bye before you even get to the point to where I was in a very toxic marriage, not a relationship, marriage for 10
Yes.
long years.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was a question. If any, what role do you feel you played in the dysfunction in the relationship? And for those in this type of situation, what would you say to them?
Yeah. So I feel like, I mean, there's always two parties involved in why a marriage can dissolve, right? And there were some things that I did. I really, at the time, had somewhat of a controlling, if you will. I wanted what I wanted. Now let's just keep it real. Now I'm here to help folks. So I mean, there may be some women that are in the same situation. We gotta sometimes allow, not sometimes, all the time, because the Bible says, "Wives, submit to your husbands." I have a problem with that word, submission, and I didn't do it so very well. And if I look back at it now, and if I were to meet a man at the altar, I would 100% be on board with that word, because that's what we need to do, women, as God tells us, submit. No, we may not agree with it. We may not even like his decision, but if we trust the man that God has put us with, and that man is making a decision and he's following God's leadership and direction and spirit.
But that's the kicker. That's the key there.
God's leadership, right? And
Absolutely.
direction.
Absolutely.
And so then we just follow his lead. And so that's one thing I will say I did not do well. But mine, he wasn't following no God. I don't know what he was doing. But
you don't know what he was following.
I don't know what he was doing. But anyway, yeah. So that, I hope I answered the question for that viewer.
Yeah, and I think that's where, I think that's where most of us, miss the mark again, because it goes back to, we're not even following God's leadership, just long as the man,
Right.
because that's the key, and that's going to be the difference. If God has given us that mate, so if we're that rib for him, then we know that he's supposedly, he's following God. So then, yes, we are supposed to be, submit, because he's letting God lead him.
That's right. Amen. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I do know also, like in this day and time, people are so quick to just throw in the towel.
Come on now.
People, instead of, dealing with some issues, because nobody is going to, there's no perfect person. So you're not going to always agree. But people they want to throw in the towel. Nobody is willing to fight for their relationships, for their marriages. It's just, they'll just get divorced and move on. And okay, and then they, go on with Johnny, or they'll just do, what do they call it? Poly. They have those poly relationships.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just so much craziness now when it comes to relationships. Instead of us letting God pick up the pieces, they choose to do other stuff.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And there are some stats I would like to share here while we're talking about marriage and divorce. And they're astonishing. The first marriage is about 50% divorce rate. The second marriage is 67%, and the third is 73%. And that comes from unhappymarriage.info. Why is that, Roslyn? What I believe is people don't really allow themselves time to heal, right? And they jump from one relationship, marriage, to the next, to the next, to the next.
But a part of not healing, you first have to admit that you're broken in order to be able to heal.
Amen. Amen.
And I think that's what happens so often, is that we don't want to admit that I'm broken, because now I gotta deal with it.
That's right.
I got to be able to deal with getting past that. And that's what most people don't want to do because, of
Mhm.
course, the healing process is ugly.
It's ugly.
It's not something, it's
Mhm.
not peaches and cream. It's not a bed of roses. It's ugly. So most people don't want to deal with that. And we surely men don't want to deal with that,
Yeah.
more often than not. And I think that that's the other thing as women, as we let God pick up our pieces, that we have to be able to encourage our men so that they'll understand that it's okay, that
Yes.
it's not anything wrong if being broken. But the problem is not admitting it so that you can heal past it, so that you can really become the man that God has destined you to be.
That's
you
right.
know, but our mouths, the
Ah, come on.
words, the things that we say,
Yes.
and to not just other people, but to men.
Yes, right.
When we're in relationships, we have to be mindful of that because we as women, we don't want men to say certain things to us, but are we mindful of the things that we speak to them and over them?
That's right.
You
That's
know, and I think that that's where we as women where we fail.
oh yes. Hmm.
And again, let me give a disclaimer. This is my little opinion.
Okay. But that's good, Roslyn. That's some good things you're talking about. And you're right. You're right. Once we admit that there's an issue, there's a problem. Look, I went through counseling for a very long time after my divorce. I'm talking a very long time. And because I was dealing with some past traumas that
Mm.
I wasn't even aware of, right?
Yes,
And that
absolutely.
counselor, I'm not talking about I went to church counseling. Church counseling, pray about it, and God will take care of it. All of that's fine. However, it takes faith and therapy. I had to go sit on somebody's couch as the psychiatrist's couch and talk to them about what was going on in my life. Just
Yes.
getting out of this toxic divorce, childhood traumas, not being raised by a father, not knowing my father until I was 21 years old. All of these things, and being raised by my grandmother, and my mom and I relationship was kind of rocky as a child. I had some abandonment issues that I didn't even realize, right? And going to
Yes.
therapy helped me in so many ways, not only in relationships, but just as a person, learning how to talk to people better and and when I do get in a relationship, what does that look like to me? And this man, I can't just try to wear the pants all the time and and control him. We talked about that already, the submission part, but yeah. And I want to say, folks, there's nothing wrong with going to therapy. So many times in our culture, we've heard, what's the phrase, Rosalind? What goes on in this house stays in this.
Stays in this house.
So we, as a culture, have been trained and raised to say, "Oh, no, don't talk about anything or your problems to anyone. Just keep them hidden. Just kick them under the rug, shove them under the rug. Don't talk about them." And that's what has kept us in bondage, I believe. And so when we get into relationship, if there's a problem, y'all, it's fine. It's fine to go to counseling and therapy. It really is. It's okay. There's nothing
It
wrong with
is.
it. Go to self-care workshops. Work on yourself. Self-care is so important. So you can be a better mom to your kids. You can be a better wife to your husband or soon to be husband or whatever the case may be.
A
Yeah.
better you,
A
period.
better you.
A
Yes.
better you. So this is an amazing question. It says, do you think God will bless a marriage if he doesn't approve of the relationship because it's a union under God, if that makes sense?
Wow.
Well, you know what? That in a sense that's contradictory because you're saying if he doesn't approve of the relationship.
Mhm.
So if it's a marriage, and you have taken a vow before God, and you decided to get married. And again, we're gonna give a disclaimer. This is my little opinion. Uh,
I like that. My little opinion.
it's my little opinion, okay? So, but so if you have vowed before God and married and become one with someone, I do believe that anyone that takes the vows, that God is going to bless the marriage.
Mhm.
But even with God blessing the marriage, the problem becomes is that we operate in flesh. And so
Mhm.
we still operating in things of what we want and what we do. So you're saying he didn't approve of the relationship before. I mean, I'm not understanding what you mean when you say he didn't approve of the relationship before, because the before, whatever that was, whether that was you were, I mean, because we all, we're sinning in some type of way. So whether you're saying he didn't approve because you were cohabitating before and you weren't married or whatever that is. So if you've repented and asked for forgiveness of that, that's forgiven and that's behind you, because remember, God doesn't hold things against us. So I don't think that is applicable, uh, in my mind, in my little opinion. I don't think that's applicable, because if you have repented, and so now here you are standing at the altar or the courthouse or wherever it is, and you're getting married, he's going to bless that. Now, what happens from there is going to be how you operate, and if you let him be the head of that marriage. In my little opinion, that's the way I see it. So I don't know if hopefully that answered the question. So I guess you can tell me, Nisi, did that answer your question or not? Because that's the way I see it. And
I
of course,
agree. I
and of
agree.
course, anyone can comment and
Yeah.
tell me, because they might have another little opinion.
Well, I agree. And she said before marriage. So if she's asking, did God approve of the relationship prior to getting married, or the dating space? But in my mind, if for me, I wasn't. It wasn't God ordained. Let's just put it that way. For me, and I went on, and there were so many red flags and signs there, but I went forward with it anyway. Right.
Right.
So
And I think she's just saying in general.
okay.
Yeah. But yeah. Yeah, yeah. That is
Yes.
definitely a topic for another show, right?
Yes.
Yes, I'm going to bring my friend Gregory and we're going to talk about that. So y'all just, hey, stay tuned, because that's what we're going to do. I'm going to get my friend Gregory Bloomfield and we're going to talk
I
about
love
that.
that.
That's
I
going
love
to be another topic. So don't y'all miss it, okay? I'm telling you now. So yeah, Zinja, tell Gregory to be ready. But anyway,
Oh, I love it.
yes, yes, yes. But I think, that people need to know that we have to be able to let God pick up the pieces,
Yes.
because there's no perfect person.
No,
And of course, we have to admit that we're broken in order to be healed.
that's right.
Uh, that's the first step. And knowing, because, talking about picking up the pieces,
Mhm.
when you talk about that, is your marriage, is that how you kind of got to, because I know you're getting ready for an event, and it's
Yes.
called picking up the pieces.
Yes, it is.
So
Yes.
is that how you were able to arrive at that topic, so to speak, picking up the pieces, your
Yes.
ex-husband?
Pretty much. When I started on my journey of recovery and looking to help men and women, I don't exclude the men because we all need help sometimes with picking up the pieces. It was exclusively a divorce recovery. And then God said, no, just help people heal and move forward after trauma, Rosalind. If that includes divorce, whatever that includes, the mental health issues, grief, loss of a loved one, whatever. And so picking up the pieces, that's what this is all about. It's to help men and women heal and move forward after traumatic experiences. And so whatever your trauma looks like. And so that's what this event is. It's next month. I'm so excited about it. It's going to be
Yes.
amazing, amazing, amazing. Two featured speakers. They are phenomenal. Tamaria Weaver and Dr. Kareem R. Ellis. And then we'll have 3 panel discussions. One is relationships. We've been talking about relationships this whole show almost, right? That's
Yes.
important.
That is important.
And then one will be on mental health, and then there will be a fireside chat with myself and Pastor Tammy Dozier dealing with grief. And it's going to be phenomenal. Lunch will be served. So it's next month at the Occasions event venue in Hurst, Texas.
That is awesome. That is awesome. So we do have the information going on the bottom of the screen. So if you are local and you are interested in attending Pick Up the Pieces Expo here in Texas, please, by all means, go to the site so that you can purchase your ticket and be a part of that amazing event. Because we definitely know that people need to be able to heal from trauma and pick up and let God pick up the pieces. That is that is so important that we're expressing that in our culture, because for so long it was taboo, to have to go to therapy and things like that. So it makes people hesitant. And I think it's so crazy how a lot of times it's more hesitant for our men.
Yes, it is.
And our men really, really, I can't stress enough, they really, really need this. And I think that we are, the key to that for them in regards to encouraging them and letting them know that it's okay.
Yes. And ladies, when men are vulnerable.
Yes, and doing that through prayer, and not thinking it's something that we can do on our own, but obviously, we have to be able to cover our men in prayer, so that they can become vulnerable and knowing that it's okay to let God pick up the pieces, but they have to first admit that they're broken, because we want them to be a better person. Because when they're a better version of themselves, then they can be those husbands, those boyfriends, those dads, that are so needed. But we gotta help them pick up the pieces.
We gotta help them. We gotta be their team member. They can trust us. And when they're vulnerable, ladies, we just let them share, because once the man feels like he's not able to share in his emotional standpoint, he'll shut down, right? He's not going to do it.
That's right.
In his mind, he's going to say, oh, I can't trust her with my vulnerable state, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
For you. Yeah. So awesome.
Yes. Those are things we definitely want to be able to share. And how often do you do your event? Do you do your expo?
Yes, it's an annual event. It's always held in the spring. This is the 2nd year. And so looking forward to seeing y'all there. It's going to be a life-changing experience for anyone that walks in or that's in that room. So get in the room.
Yeah, that's awesome. We're so happy for you in regards to your event.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's just amazing. I think I said again, it's very, very important. Again, we definitely want to make sure that we share that information for you.
Thank you so much, Roslyn.
And yes, and I know that it's that is a Saturday and it's an all-day event. But I'm going to try to make the event just because I want to give you the support. We really appreciate you.
Thank you.
We appreciate you coming on. Again, if there are any last words that you would have for somebody who needs to let him pick up the pieces, what you would actually tell them, any advice that you give them.
Yes. So self care and healing and therapy is so important. I've mentioned this already. And the first step is attending events like this, and that'll help you realize that it is time to pick up the pieces in your life. And even though you may be struggling with something, we all have. I've been there. That was just a snippet of my story, but there's a whole lot more things that I went through even as a child. So I'm no stranger to trauma, and I'm here to help you recover and move forward after trauma, because there is life after trauma.
Yes, yes, there is definitely life after. That's actually why we're here, is because there is life after trauma. So we're going to get ready to to close out. My producer, I just love her so much. Um, she kills me sometimes. She know I'll get her. I'll get her later. I'll get her later, but that's okay. That's okay. But we do ask that you follow us on all the platforms. We're trying to build our subscribers on YouTube. So please don't forget that we do actually have a YouTube page, but we want to build the subscribers so that we could start streaming things from that particular platform. But we're going to go here. Dear Life After. Before there was, after there was you. Because of the trauma, because of the pain, we're here. We have to admit that we're broken so that we can let you pick up the pieces. Dear Life After. We're so grateful for you. Dear Life After. We're hurting. We're in trauma. Side, there is an after. Dear Life After. We yearn for you. Dear Life After. We didn't know you existed. Dear Life After. The days have been foggy. The nights have been long. Dear Life After. We so love you. Dear Life After. Our hearts yearn for you. Dear Life After. Because of you, we are today. Dear Life After. Thank you all so much for joining us. Again, we hope that you attend the event. But please, if you want to support this podcast, you can Zelle us, you can Cash App. No dollar is too small. Like I said, we're just here. We want to impact lives. We want people to know that they're not going through the things by themselves. So we just like to have candid conversations with people. If you know someone who needs to share their story, please let us know. They can contact us at dearlifeafter@gmail.com. Again, we are so grateful for you all. Please continue to share, like, share, and subscribe to any platform that we're on as well. We have some amazing other shows on the Lonnie B and Company Network. Listen, on Monday through Thursday at 8 a.m., we have Morning Tea with Lonnie B. And on at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time, you don't want to miss it. Start the day off with the word. Yes, you would just absolutely love it. It's not something long. You're gonna get just a little snippet to start your day off with. And that's how we do it. Then we come and we have Motivation Moments, Multivitamin with Greg Bloomfield on Thursdays. Greg comes on at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. It's just something short. It's every Thursday evening. You don't want to miss it. Greg is awesome. So if you haven't seen him, also you can catch Greg on Sundays at 7 p.m. with Motivation Moments with Greg Bloomfield. You don't want to miss hearing my friend Greg. He is an amazing guy, and he has some amazing guests on his podcast as well. So please. And then every third Friday at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time, you have Time of Refreshing with Manny Cush. You don't want to miss diving in this Bible study with him. You have not had Bible study like this. Don't miss it. Don't miss it. It is a treat. So please join. Then we have on the second and fourth Mondays, we have Believers Loving Upon Everyone podcast at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. You don't want to miss this. And then we come back with Africa Restoration Movement. We have that as well. You don't want to miss this. We have some amazing things going on here at the Lonnie B and Company Network. So please like and share, follow them on all of the platforms for Lonnie B and Company Network. We appreciate your support. We appreciate you joining us. And until, as I always say, make it a great day on purpose.